This episode is brought to you by marketing consulting firm The Bonafide Lyrics and Marketing, LLC, where creativity meets business. You can check us out at www.theblm.com for more information on how we help local artists and creatives maximize their business presence. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
It's the All Love, No Fear podcast.
Hey.
It's the All Love, No Fear podcast.
Hey.
Check us out. It's the All Love, Oh, No Fear podcast. All Love, Oh, No Fear podcast.
Hey.
Las. I don't know any of the words, full disclosure. I'm already sick of the song for the summer, but hey, y'all, what's up? Oh my goodness. Welcome to summer 2022 and the last, finalmente. I don't know any other words for last. But yeah, welcome to the last podcast that Mark and I are ever going to host on the All Love No Fear podcast imprint. Yeah, y'all. Mark is executive producing in front of me at the moment. So, I mean, if you see the visual, if you're not seeing the visual, then none of this matters. But yeah, we here. We took an impromptu break, so let me explain ourselves at the moment. So what had happened was we started off season 5 like we knew it was the last season. We had been saying that because I was aware that I was in school and that was going to be taking up some time, and then our childcare situation while we recorded the podcast was evaporating, i.e. my in-laws moved out of the state. So, like, we were aware that things were going to change in terms of the dynamic and how things were going to work with us doing the podcast. I don't know what happened exactly. I don't know if it was like one thing specifically, but life just started lifing. And we missed one Sunday because I something happened and we missed the Sunday. I think Avery didn't take her nap as planned. And we were planning to do the podcast while she was napping. And then we were like, oh, we'll just wait till she goes to sleep and do it later on tonight. But that didn't pan out either because we was tired by the time she finally did go to sleep. So it just ended up being like, okay, we'll try again next week. And then the next week came and we didn't do it. And then I think school started getting hectic for me. And relying on Avery to go to sleep wasn't really a plausible plan. So things just kind of like life just started lifing. Like things were happening. Mark had stuff going on with work. He was busy with stuff. So the weeks just went by. And next thing you know, it was June. And I was like, oh snap, we haven't done anything. And like today, when I went back to look at our little document where I keep all the stuff we're going to talk about on the podcast, I saw that the last date on there that we apparently attempted to record this episode was April 10th. Almost 4 months ago. I can't believe that much time has passed. And that we're now finally getting to do this. And let's be clear. We were going to do this summer. We just hadn't arrived at a date or anything like that. But, we were enjoying our child-free summer because our in-laws took Avery for the summer so she could have fun down in Georgia and whatnot. And she's coming back next week. So we were like, our window of opportunity to do this is closing. And so we would like to apologize for leaving our loyal listeners in the lurch so abruptly. It wasn't the intention. It wasn't the way we were trying to go about it. Life just lifed, and there really wasn't a lot of time or space to like think about it or figure out what to do. It just kind of happened like that. Our bad, y'all.
Word.
Our bad.
Yeah, that is basically what happened. So I'm kind of like, I don't get this repeat, this echo. So I hope that you'll forgive us.
Please forgive us. Please.
Hopefully something else will happen with this equipment in terms of we might do something else later. We might do something. We'll see. Just as it stands right now, this is the last podcast
for All Love No Fear.
For All Love No Fear.
Who knows? You may come back again with another podcast or some other kind of something.
Yeah.
At some point, but
yeah, but as of right now, this is the last one for that. We do appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for everything.
Yes, we appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah. So real quick, how are you doing?
I'm good. I don't know how to feel about this. Like, I know what we're doing. I know why we're here, but I'm kind of like, wow, this is really the last one. And it didn't kind of come about in the way that I envisioned the last one coming about in my head. So, excuse me, I'll be honest. It's a little surprising. I'm a little sad, but I'm okay. Okay. How about you?
I'm doing well. No problems here. I'm just hoping everything goes well.
It's hot.
It is hot.
It's hot.
It's hot outside.
It is.
I'll open the windows in a second.
Yeah,
I gotta open the windows.
We're not gonna survive.
No, we're not. You're going to see us pass out into a puddle of nothingness.
Yes.
Live on screen.
Yeah, no one wants to see that. No one wants to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I hope y'all staying cool out there.
Staying cool, staying safe,
staying hydrated. All that jazz.
If you do not know who we are, sorry, this is the last time you'll see us. But that's
fine. Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's me, KB, and to my right
is Mr. Mark Metapoetic Bennett.
Yes, that aka the Hubs.
I am the husband.
I am the wife.
That is who we are. This is the All Love No Fear podcast.
Blah, 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 blah.
We did season 5 seasons. This is, what episode is this?
I think this is 7.
So 7 is the number of completion. It works.
Yes.
I'm rocking with it.
Yes, we were initially trying to make it 13, because we normally do 26 episode seasons, but like I said, life was life, and 26 seemed unrealistic. Who knew that 13 seemed unrealistic? Man, here we are. So, yeah, this is season 5, episode 7. 7 is the year of completion. 7 is the number of years we've been married so far. 7's a special number. So we're just gonna try to end on a positive high note. Nah, I mean. Anidibo and Shayo. Anidibo and Shayo. Sorry, that song is stuck in my head, and y'all kind of making me tired of it already, but it's also stuck in my head, so it's complicated.
Can you share on your page also? Yeah, when you get a chance.
Share what?
It's on the All Love No Fear. All Love No Fear.
What do you want me to share? The live?
Yeah, the live. You do it from there. Yeah. So, what we really usually do, and we'll bring this right back for right now, is the love it or lose it. Hey, love it or lose it. Hey, love it or lose it. Hey, love it or lose it.
Hey, yeah.
So, the love it or lose it for season 5, episode 7, because we just came back from a cruise.
Jazz. We just came back from a cruise where we saw the world. We saw some world.
It was my first cruise, Kristin's second cruise, but this is still the first year of cruises.
Yes.
I kind of want to know, out of the 4 kinds of vacation destinations, what your preference is.
Okay.
So that is between cruises, of course, visiting a Caribbean island, going to an all-inclusive, like what happened when we went to Cancun, or going to like an urban city, like when we went to Savannah, Philadelphia, and we like went to historical sites and like things like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just different vibes each time.
Okay.
Like even when we go to DC for the African American, like it's just, I think each thing is a little different.
Okay.
Atlanta, you had the aquarium and Coco. Like it's just those are like I guess I'm gonna call them I guess the more city vacations because
Gotcha.
like you go for more of the different things going on.
Gotcha.
Than just a relaxation. What kind of vacation do you prefer? Oh, FYI, Love It or Lose It is a section where we usually have one person usually knows the 4 choices, and one person has to choose one to lose, throw away, never want to see again, and one to love, hold on to, never let go. And you have to lose it first.
Okay. So you said a cruise, visiting an island like independently, doing an all-inclusive somewhere, or like a city.
Yeah, going to like where you have like a lot of activities. Like I said, the example I gave was like when we went to Savannah, when we go on Atlanta for like vacation.
Yeah. I think I would have to choose visiting an island like just independently.
To lose it?
Yeah, to lose it.
Okay.
I think I choose that because as a proud citizen and former resident of the best of the islands, in case you girls don't know what it is, it's Barbados. I feel like spending time in another island that I just don't think is as good is a waste of money and time. Like, I'm just going to be there the whole time. I'm like, well, Barbados has this. Well, like, I've been to other islands, like, on cruises and stuff like that, and I'm just like, all right, I mean, I guess. Like, it hasn't, like, they haven't given what they were supposed to give. Like, to me, nothing's better than Barbados, and that's just my biased opinion. So for me, I'm like, I'm going to go to another island and do what? Spend a week there being like, well, I mean, the beaches at Barbados are nicer. Like, that just doesn't seem like a fun time to me, to where I want to be someplace for a week doing that. So for me, and then I don't know, I kind of feel sometimes like if you've seen one island, you've seen them all. And because I think mine is the best one, there are very few of them that I could see myself wanting to go to for 5, 6, 7 days at a time as part of a vacation. Like, I don't have any desire to go to many of them. Like, there's some I would like to see just because I'm like, oh wow, like I don't know anybody from here. I've never seen anything about this before, but like, no shade to like the St. Lucias and the Jamaicas of the world, but I'm like, okay, girl. Okay, I'm from Barbados. Like, I'm not moved. And this is not to play any of those islands. I think they're all beautiful. I just feel like I would rather see those on like a cruise stop than me go there for a week. Because I can't see myself being enthused going to another island for a week. I just can't. I just can't. Sorry. There's no shade. Barbados is the best one, and that's my final answer.
No, okay. The funny thing, I usually be making these and not really knowing what answer to pick myself. That's usually how this goes, and this is no different. So when I said lose it, I was like, lose it. I have to lose one, and I said it.
Wow.
So I think my lose might be the city.
Okay. Interesting. I don't know if I saw that.
I don't know if I saw that either. But when I think about it, maybe out of those, I would do that. I think the city might be my. Cause I feel like you don't get the most for your buck with the city.
Okay.
I feel like anytime you go to the city, it's just a lot of stuff to pay for. It's just there's no all-inclusives at cities.
Not a lot, especially American cities.
You gotta find a way how to get around.
Yeah.
And usually like if you go to the location, that's like a couple hours, like one day. But like it's just it's a lot of hit or miss.
Yeah.
Like there has to be a lot of factors for it to be a great time. Like number one factor, like it has to be like you have to know somebody there to know where to go. Like I don't want to just be assuming that places are great because I'll go to the wrong place. All right.
Yeah.
So I have to know somebody there. And someone has to give me like suggestions about places to go.
Yeah.
And like hopefully that place it's as good as when we go as when they usually have it.
Yeah.
Then I have to know how to get around. Everything can't be too far apart. Like when we went to where do we go to and that Uber was ridiculous.
Savannah.
Yeah, I was like
to get from where the hotel was to where things were,
everything was kind of like I was like, all right,
I was involved. We had a great time, but
it was a good time. It was involved.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of these cities, their hotels are kind of unless you're paying a lot of money for the hotel.
Yeah.
And everything. So I think that is where I'm at with that.
Okay. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. It surprised me because
it surprised me when I thought I was like maybe that one.
Yeah. But your points make sense.
Yeah. So how about you? Love it.
I'm gonna say like based on my experiences this year. Prior to this year, I might have said like an all-inclusive, but I think my love it is cruises. And I think so because you get to see a lot of different places in one trip, which is exciting, depending on, how long your cruise is. And you can go on them for as long as your heart desires, honestly. But I like that you get to see a variety of places. On cruises. I know there's places that I've seen that I don't know if I would go necessarily on a vacation for like a week, but it was nice to go for that one day and check it out. I also like the fact that on cruises there is that all-inclusive component when it comes to like at least your meals and stuff like that. Like you don't have to think about that. Like that's already part of your package when you go. I also like that they have like a variety of entertainment that's included in the like cruise fare. So it's like you can do as much or as little as you want in terms of the entertainment piece. I like that you have the opportunities on cruises to like interact as much or as little as you want. I just like that there's like a little bit of something for everybody and there's like a lot to get into. So I feel like cruises are my idea of a good time. Like, because even if you pull up in a port, like you don't have to get off the boat if you don't want to. You can just be like, nah, I'm cool. I'll stay on. And you have the option. I feel like cruises are like the way to go. Going forward. And there's so many different cruise lines and so many things that people offer. And, all these cruise lines have like private islands and like all this other stuff going on. So it's a lot of really exciting stuff going on with cruises. Like there's one that I would love to take. It's definitely like a full 2-week vacation, but I would love to do it. I think it's either a Royal Caribbean or Norwegian, and it starts and ends in Barbados. It starts in Barbados and it goes to I think Trinidad, Tobago, St. Vincent, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Martinique, and a couple of other islands. It's like a 10 or 11 day cruise in total. But it looks like so much fun. And again, because I'm the type of person who's like, what would I be going to St. Vincent out of the blue for? You know what I'm saying? Or like, what would I be going to Martinique out of the blue for? So I feel like a cruise gives me the opportunity to like be on a ship, interact, do all the ship things, get off, go do something there, and then get back on and go do something else. So yeah.
Yeah. I like the cruise. I think my love it is all inclusive though.
I know. I knew you were gonna say that.
I think if we go on a cruise and it's like more on there, maybe. But I feel as if but even the all inclusive that like has a lot more going on and is more inclusive, those are quite expensive.
Yes.
In terms of cruises.
Yes.
An all inclusive vacation to Cancun, like the all inclusive Cancun changed my whole life. in terms of how I view vacations. 'Cause I was like, oh, just go and just everything is there, and not just food, just like unlimited everything.
Yeah.
And like, I can't just stay here. Like we'll go out the other thing, but like mad stuff is just here.
Yeah.
Like if I never brought any additional money, I would still be fine.
Yeah, you would be, because we really didn't spend any money when we went to Mexico.
Like the most you might have to spend extra money might be for tips, but
yeah,
everything else, fine.
Yeah, I think we spent money legit like on the bus.
Yeah, to
take us, and like on souvenirs or like stuff we wanted to get while we were like
so it's like
in Mexico.
I fully enjoy when I get there. I don't have like I can have extra money to pay for things, but just to enjoy, not for things that I need.
Right.
Not for necessities.
Right.
Or things that like I don't have to worry about eating, drinking. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to worry about those things.
Yeah.
I do enjoy stuff like that.
Okay.
And like I think the all-inclusive they had like activities, they had games.
Yeah, they had things. They had things going on.
Shows going on.
Yeah, they had things going on to keep people entertained.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my second option of like a vacation like preference. That like cruising, and then that like either one of those two would be fine with me as an experience, because I think it really allows you to relax when you don't have to think about all those like little pieces.
Work.
So yeah. So I think that was it for
love it
or lose it. Hey, love it or lose it. Hey, love it or lose it. Hey, love it or lose it. Hey. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. All right, y'all. So, I can't believe it was our last time singing that song. Oh my gosh.
Word.
That song was a complete... How did we even start making this? I don't even know where that came from.
From our ridiculous making things up. Song making that we've been doing throughout the years.
Yeah, because even the podcast jingle was definitely some made up. Like Mark found some random beat somewhere, and I was like, chicka chicka chicka, and decided to try my hand at being a rappel.
Yeah, and it worked.
I was like, when it came out, I was like, I don't hate this actually.
It worked.
I don't hate this, so I was surprised. So yeah, let's get into our topic for today. What we talking about? What we talking about, Mark?
What we talking about?
What we talking about? Yeah.
I used the words dealing with conflict, correct?
That sounds correct. Sounds correct. So, yes. Lead us in.
So I think dealing with conflict. So, as the last topic we want to talk about, we kind of want to talk about, like, I guess, in relationships is how we deal with conflict. And I always want to like not come off as like preaching or counseling or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So just more of how we deal with conflict and everything, because kind of like I realized that like someone made this comment with my friends. He was like, it's important to understand how to argue.
Yeah.
How to argue, how to deal with conflict as you do it, because no matter what's going on, you're going to deal with conflict as a human being.
Yeah.
When you have two people who are not the same exact person, it's going to be conflict, because you just have different views on things. Right? You have different views on how things operate, and that's just common on how things work. It's very hard to get away from that.
Yeah.
So the goal is to figure out how to deal with that conflict, and major and small. And I guess we'll break it up into two separate things. Like, and when I say small or big, is based off of your relationship, I guess. Mm-hmm. And when I say small, I mean something that doesn't really bring cracks to the foundation, mm-hmm. but just like something that might not be a big thing to either of you.
Yeah.
But just how you handle the conflict is the problem. Mm-hmm. Might be. So meaning someone like, if I leave my coat somewhere, mm-hmm. right? How you respond to that, mm-hmm. Matters, right? I'm always of the belief like we have to be mindful of how we respond to things we don't like to make sure that we're not demeaning the other person in the process. To make sure that we're just saying how we feel about this specific thing and everything. And sometimes even if you do that, it might not work the way you want it to. Because I'm of the belief that communication many times is how you say things many times, not how it's received. Because many times when we say something to somebody, we're saying it in a silo, meaning like we're like if I leave my coat somewhere, you're addressing the coat. Like, hey, this is stupid. Let's talk about this damn coat. Let's talk about that, and this your frustration with that. How someone hears it and receives it is everything you've said before. So meaning how you say things and everything, I'm paying attention to how you've addressed other conflicts. I'm listening to like this is all subconscious, of course. It's not like I'm conscious, but like you listen to like you're based on how you think that what has annoyed the person before about things I've done. So like you might be saying this code's annoying, and I might be taking it as, oh, you think things I do are annoying all the time, right? And even though like it sounds like what someone's playing 20 on 10, but that is naturally how we do things, even if it's not intentional. We might not even say that out loud, but that's sometimes how we take things. So someone might say, why you always have an issue, and they're saying that because of like how they're hearing all the different little things is together. They're hearing all the times you're talking about certain things as together. So like it looks like you always have an issue, and it might not be. It's just when someone sees something, they just address it. And that I know that's a conflict that I have on the other end. I know I have I know my conflict is I do a lot of silo addressing. And sometimes people think that I have an issue with them because I told myself at a certain point in my life to always address something because I felt like I for a large part of my life I wasn't addressing if I had a problem with something. So I told myself I'm going to address every time I have an issue with something. So like I'm like I have an issue with that. Let me address this. I'm gonna have an issue with that. I'm gonna address this. And like it doesn't mean I don't even mean like things that even directly affect me. If I feel like I feel like there's something that can be fixed here, I'm going to address it. I'm gonna talk about it in there. So like I do that. But like if I'm doing that consistently, if that person feels like I'm consistently doing that to certain things about them, it seems like if I add up all these things you feel like you have an issue with, you must have an issue with me. And I know that's why some people feel like I have an issue with them. And I have to work on that.
And what I guess work on that, like what does that mean? Like, or what does that look like to you?
Sometimes I don't address everything. And I have to do better at complimenting people in general. I think certain things that I have such a high bar for my compliments that I don't that don't mean I don't think that is good. But also I think that I'm not a words of affirmation person.
That you are not.
I'm not a words of affirmation person, and I think we've had this conversation. We talked about this before in the podcast, but I'm not a words of affirmation person because I am a poet. I feel as if I'm always worried that when someone says something that they don't mean it fully, because you can say words fancily to make it seem better than it is. And because you can do that as a human, I'm always like, is someone putting extra spice on what's being said? And so I worried about that. So because I feel that about others, I assume people feel that about me. So I don't like say a lot of things. I'm like, I don't want, because I have to figure out how to not put too much spice on things, to not say certain things or comments, because like because I know I don't take compliments well, and I'm always like, I'm not sure if it's true. In my mind, other people do the same thing.
Gotcha.
So I don't do compliments well because of that. Cause I'm like, oh, they're just gonna think I'm just saying it. I don't really mean it. So why say it? So instead, I show my appreciation through action. Like, if I'm doing something for you, that's me appreciating what you've done for me instead of actually saying it. But one thing I've been trying to it's hard to work on is actually saying taking compliments and giving them.
Indeed.
You give me the face. Give me the face of, yeah, you figure it out, sir.
Yes, because I'm just thinking about the many times I've given you compliments and you've just been sitting there like, and I'm like, but what reason do I have to lie to you about what I'm saying? Because
I don't think
I
don't think people
like, I don't give compliments for the sake of it. Like I don't.
I don't think it's as simplistic as I think people are lying.
What do you think? How would you characterize it?
I think subconsciously I believe people add extra spice to things they're saying to make someone feel better, which is not a wrong thing, but because I don't do that, I feel like other people don't want that either. I'm not saying it's wrong to do it, but because I don't add X spice, because remember, like it's like I don't
feel like a compliment is like a basic compliment is extra spice.
I don't
like saying something like,
I think
I like your haircut. I don't think that's extra spice. That's just making a general observation,
which is true. And I don't. The thing is, I don't think extra spice is a bad thing. It's just hard for me to do it.
But what I'm saying is, what do you think is extra spice? Just saying, oh, I like your haircut or I like your hair color is not extra spice. You either like it or you don't. I got it. It's a very simple thing to say.
I know.
So what about that is extra spice is what I'm trying to understand.
It's me in my mind of like me always figure out, so what do you like about it? Is it this? So you're saying it's I know it's me. Like I'm not under the belief it's not me.
Okay.
I fully understand it's me.
That's fine.
I fully understand it's me putting 20 on 10.
Okay.
I fully understand that.
Okay.
I just haven't figured out how to not do that. Like I fully understand that it's me doing a lot.
So if I say you look handsome, in your head you're like, what does she think is handsome? Are you doing that?
It's just like, I don't think that you are lying.
Okay. That's progress.
if that's your question, I don't think you're lying.
I know I'm not, so it doesn't matter if you think I'm not. I know I'm not.
No, I know, but I'm trying to say, like, I don't want you to think that I think that
I'm a liar who lies.
You're just saying things. I don't think you're just saying things. I think because I have to. It's hard for me to pinpoint what. I feel like there's like
why so suspicious?
I don't know. I feel like there was a class, right, where people understood how to do certain things.
And you didn't attend?
I didn't attend the class.
What were you doing?
I don't know. I feel like there was a class in terms of like, that people how to not be awkward in certain situations and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't what class that was. I definitely was not there for that class.
Apparently.
Yeah. So.
Apparently.
So I think that I'm just awkward. I'm fully understand that, like, I'm awkward. So like
everybody is to some degree, but yes.
No, yeah, correct. But like I think me trying to figure out how to not be so awkward all the time. Like even I understand I have good points, but like I know I don't have good points all the time.
Okay, that's a pretty common
great
situation.
But it's also my feeling that I feel like I want to figure out how to not do better in those not good points.
Okay, that's fair. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think that it's very interesting. The way you kind of like going back to what you said initially about, you know, how things can be taken where like I may be bringing up one thing, and because of how you process, you're hearing it as a general critique on everything or about you as a whole person. And I think that's kind of interesting to explore a little bit, because I don't view things that way at all. So it's interesting to hear that perspective. Like, if you bring up something to me like, oh, like for example, the conversation we had about, you know, money management the other day, like I heard what you said in that moment as it related to that particular situation. And I was like, oh, okay, got you, heard you, I understand. And while I did reflect on previous conversations we had, I don't know if I necessarily took it as you're critiquing or attacking or anything me as a person in entirety in that statement. Like
I think you don't.
I don't think things that way.
No, you don't think that way because I think we've kind of addressed a lot of those things already.
Yeah, and I mean, I think in general, I don't think that way.
You don't, which is great. That is not how other people feel.
No, I know, and so that's why it's hard for me to understand, and it because I don't take things that way. Like if someone's saying something to me about something that I've done or said or whatever that offended them, I'm looking at it as they're addressing this particular thing that they're talking about, and I'm leaving it there. Mm-hmm. I'm not digging deeper to be like, oh, well, maybe they're talking. Listen, if they got something else to talk about, they'll bring it up. But if they're just talking about this, that's all I'm addressing. I'm not getting into anything else, because that just takes me down a rabbit hole, and I don't want to be there because that gets weird.
Word.
But I do also feel like I'm not in the minority of people, but I do realize that a lot more people look at things the way you do. Because when I say something to someone or I address something, I'm talking about that specific thing. I'm not talking about them as a whole person or talking about past things. I'm talking about that particular things, because I feel like I've been sort of taught in some way or another that when you try to address an issue and you start to try to pull on anything else other than that immediate issue, that's where things get blurry. That's where the point of what you're trying to communicate gets distracted. So I feel like when I think about things, I try to address things from this is the immediate, like, primary thing I'm trying to talk about. I try to distance so much from anything else that has happened or anything related, because I don't want the point to be lost, because I feel like that happens a lot with me, like, or used to. I don't think it happens as much now, but in the past I feel like the point of what I would be trying to say would be getting lost, because I would be trying to like connect the dots on, well, I'm bringing this up because of this, and this reminds me of this, and I'm trying to like weave a pattern together for the person. And how they're taking it is, you hate me, you have a problem with me, you dislike me, da 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 da. And I'm like, no. I'm just trying to help you understand that this isn't, what I'm saying isn't coming from out of nowhere. But like I said, I think I've kind of been taught or told or something that doing that distracts from what it is I'm trying to communicate. So I feel like when I'm communicating, I'm trying to say what I'm trying to say in regards to this one isolated specific issue. But I realize that still doesn't always come across that way, because people do kind of interpret things in that way of, you're saying this, does it mean that you think all these other things are happening? And I think that's a huge conflict that you deal with, like, not just in romantic relationships, but in interpersonal relationships as well. Because I've found that there's been times where I've said things to people, like really just addressing one particular like incident or moment or whatever, and the whole dynamic of the relationship between me and the person has shifted because they now feel that I feel XYZ way about them because I said whatever it is I said. And so in the past, I feel like it's kind of got me in situations where I've been like, do I say anything at all? Because if every time I say something to somebody, they're taking it as a I hate them or we have beef, when I'm really just addressing one thing, I don't know if there's a way to I don't know if correct the way I say things or the way I approach things. Is it on me to do something about it? Is it on me to fix that? Or do people just have to give me the benefit of the doubt and know that I'm just saying something as in I'm addressing this and it's not an attack on you type of thing? I don't really know what to do. I don't really know what the solution is in that situation. And so I think, for us as a couple, I think it has been helpful for me, at least, to understand that you're not trying to say something to me because you feel XYZ way about me. Like, I have to reframe the way I look at it and be like, you're saying something to me because you have and because I also know that you're very you think a lot before you speak. So I'm like, if you're coming to me to say something, I know that you've thought about what you're going to say. It's something that's been on your mind and you've figured out whether you want to even make it a conversation point or not between the two of us. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking at it from the lens of that. And I'm also looking at it from the lens of, you don't inherently dislike me or distrust me or just have negative feelings towards me in general as a person. Therefore, I can take what you say at face value for what it is. If you have other ulterior feelings outside of what you're presenting to me and you're not sharing that, I'm not taking that on. I'm not letting that take up space in my brain because that's not what you brought to me. If you got to say something else, you got something else on your mind, you can bring that up whenever. But I guess for my own mental preservation and to not go down rabbit holes, which I can very easily go down, I just take things at the face value of what people are telling me. And I feel like that's how I manage to approach these kinds of conversations, is just taking it at the face value that it's being given to me, because I'm like, you're not about to have me going through no stress and anxiety. Oh, well, do they mean this? Do they mean that? Is that what they meant? No, nope. I'm not doing any of it. No. So I kind of feel like that's the way I at least manage conversations. And then even not just with you, but even with people. If someone says something to me, I'm like, all right, I'm taking this as the one individual instance that you're bringing up in this moment. If you got some other things you'd like to bring up, we can talk about it there. But whatever you're saying in this one moment, I'm just taking it as that.
Yeah. And I kind of want to transfer this to the bigger issues now.
Mm-hmm.
And dealing with conflict with bigger issues. I believe that I think I mentioned this before, that there are three big things that you kind of are the foundations of every relationship, and that's trust, respect, and love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once one of those three have a crack in it, it is not a easy fix to you can't just fill in the crack.
Yeah.
You now have to figure out, what does your relationship look like now, and how do we operate in this space?
Yeah.
You can't operate how you've operated before, or like try to pull trust, love, and respect from the same source anymore. Right? I believe that once you've done that, now you have to figure out, what does love, what does respect, what does trust look like in this new space? Because if you don't do that, you run the risk of crumbling your relationship, because you're still trying to build things on this cracked foundation.
Yeah.
So you have to create a new foundation for which relationship going on. And I think that is kind of how things operate, and that is the key, I believe, to moving forward through certain things.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, if someone is in a relationship and one person cheats, and like that was not what was expected, they now have to figure out, how do we operate in a relationship in this space where a person has cheated? How do we operate in this space now with my knowledge that it has happened? Yeah. So if my trust was built on they would never cheat, I can't build it on that trust, on that, right? Like, that's canceled. That's over, because they have. Yeah, like that's over. Like, so it's something that needs to be addressed and figure out. Number one, where can we build it on now? Yeah. Can I get to a place where I can trust them again to build this new foundation and everything, to find out what does trust look like now? So it's a very hard thing to do. Yes, and I think that's kind of, I would honestly say the trust is the biggest piece of the three things that you mentioned. I don't want to say it's the biggest piece, but I say that it's the one that people focus on a lot. I'll say it's not. The reason why I say that is I've seen relationships with other person to respect, and it's pretty terrible also. No, agreed. But I guess for me, I think trust is one of the ones that feel like it's broken the easiest. I would say, yes, that is true. I would say it's the one that's broken the easiest for sure. I guess the way I look at it is, if I don't trust you, love and respect are hard to get from me. Correct, but it's the same thing. But I think it's the same thing with everything else. Like, if I don't respect you, how can I trust that certain things will go well? Because I don't trust you, and it's hard for me to love you because I don't respect you. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I say. It's all three. It's a very chicken and egg. If I don't love you, I don't respect you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for me to trust you because, like, I don't even love, you know what I'm saying? So like, I guess the trust is the bigger piece for me. Yeah. Because I'm a very untrustworthy person in general. Correct. Like, and it might be different for different people. Yeah. It's trust the biggest. It's the quickest thing to crack. Yeah. Because I don't believe anything. I don't trust it. Like, I'm very, very skeptical. Yeah. As a person in general. So to me, trust is the bigger piece of that pie of love, respect, and trust, because I can love and not respect. Yeah. I can love and not trust. Yeah. Possibly. But I don't think that's. I honestly think that. But I like, if I can't trust at all, like, you'll never get the fullness of any of those things from me. Yeah. Like, if I fundamentally can't trust, it's always gonna be a real, like, distant kind of, like, what's this term called? Arm's length kind of scenario with me. I think that for you, trust is very easily broken. Yes. So because trust is easier broken than everything else, anything else is going to crumble because of that. But the reason why I say, like I said, I've seen people who, like, they move like they don't respect that person at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it might not be trust in terms of, I trust that the person is going to move out on me, but I don't trust the person to do anything to support this relationship. Like, right. Every time they do something, I'm like, you're not gonna do that right.
Right.
Because I don't respect you to do it right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't respect you to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, I just don't think much of you.
Correct. Which falls into I don't really love you either. It's hard for me to like really love somebody if I don't really respect them.
Right.
As a human being, as a man, as a woman, whatever it is, it's hard for me to do. So that's what I said. I think it's all equal, but I do think certain people it is harder.
Yeah.
Like it certain things break faster.
Yeah. Because for me, I'm like, for respect, I'm like, I could lose respect, but you could potentially do something to garner back a bit of it. I could.
Well, who is somebody you don't respect that you still trust? You can't tell me somebody like that.
I don't trust anyone in general, so that's that on that.
But like
first.
So that's what I said. Like I think it's just trust is just harder for you.
Yeah.
Because like who could you possibly it's
who could I respect that
you don't trust? It's not possible. You can respect that you don't trust them.
I can respect things about them.
That's not respect.
Them as a full totality of a person, possibly not. But I can respect certain things about them. Like I can respect their work ethic, or I can respect, the fact that they've accomplished a lot despite certain circumstances.
When I say respect them as a friend, respect them as.
Oh, that's crazy.
But that's what I'm
they're cool.
I'm not talking about like I can
respect them as I can respect them as a human, sure.
Yeah, but that's the minimum.
That's what they get.
Correct. But when I say respect, trust, and love as the person that they are to you, so do you trust them as a friend, respect them as a friend, love them as a friend?
No.
Okay, that is the point.
No. Like they're cool or whatever.
Which is my point.
Yeah, what's up? Cool or whatever. That's it. They cool or whatever.
Yeah, because and this is why I say that, because like you could like trust somebody and everything, and then someone does something to really ruin your respect for them. It kind of starts putting cracks in your trust in them. It happens a lot with like parental figures of people, right? You find out something where they're like, oh, I don't respect you
right
now anymore, and then from that point on, you don't trust them to do certain things.
Yeah, now you're giving them, now you just don't see them the same.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm talking about.
Okay.
So I'm just saying that like they all kind of connect.
Yes, they do connect. Yes. They do.
That's my only point. But yeah, like I think that yeah, I think the point I'm making is I feel as if when there are cracks in any of those things, when I feel like there's some cracks in something, I think the best course of action is to figure out what are we now in that space, and figure that out. Yeah.
Most definitely, because I think that where people kind of get it twisted a little bit is that it's like they're trying to, and I understand it to a certain degree, because when you're used to your relationship dynamic being a certain kind of way, like it's hard to imagine it or imagine what it could look like being a different way. And so I think where people sometimes get tripped up is, once that trust is broken or that respect is broken, whatever the case is, they're trying to quote unquote work it out. Their version of work it out is trying to bring it back to what it was before whatever happened that broke the trust and the respect or whatever the case is. And it's like, no, like whatever that is dead. That's over. You literally have to reimagine, what does our dynamic look like right now in this new reality of what we've got going on? Like, what does that look like? Because if you're trying to work through whatever happened in the past and whatever, and you're still trying to make it go back to what the relationship was prior to whatever it is that happened. Like, you're gonna wind up feeling frustration and anger and even more like angst about it than you did beforehand, because you have to come to the acceptance that whatever that is over. It's gone. You're gonna have to create something new. Maybe there will be elements of what once was that you can still revive, but the essence of whatever that was is gone, because that essence was built off of there being an understanding, an expectation, a viewpoint that XYZ was going to be the standard for how our relationship went. This wasn't going to happen, that wasn't going to happen, etc., etc. Now that it has, you can't go back. Like, whatever you built that initial foundation on, that's gone. Like I said, there are possibly some areas that you could bring back and rekindle to rebuild that, but it's gonna have to look different. And I feel like there's a mourning process in that, because if you've been together for a long time and something happens and it's like, I thought our relationship was this, and you're saying that it's not this, or we're at the point where it's not this because of XYZ, there has to be an acceptance of it being not this anymore. And I think that's kind of where it gets tricky sometimes with people, is that they think that the healing of the relationship is it going back to what it was before. And it's like, no, that's not possible. And you're going to frustrate yourself exponentially if you keep trying to get back there. Like, you have to accept that part is no longer a reality, and you're going to have to build a new foundation from the ground up again in order for the relationship to be successful. You can't keep looking back at the what was and being like, oh, well, I wish it was like this. Like, nah, that's canceled. You got to find something else. And that takes work, and that takes desire, because you might not desire to build something else. You might be like, no, I liked it the way it was before. Mm-hmm. And if we can't have that, then I don't want to do this anymore. And that's a fair response, in my opinion, because some people are of the mindset like, I signed up for it to be like this. I didn't sign up for a new normal of our relationship. I don't want to play if it's not going to be what I signed up for. And like, you can call it, oh, they're giving up, they're quitting, they don't, whatever. People have rights and choices in life, and if someone chooses not to be a part of a dynamic that they no longer like that's fine. Like, for example, like Neo the singer, I don't know if y'all have heard, I mean, it's been out there this week. Neo the singer has been married for 8 years to this lovely lady named Crystal. They broke up like 2 or 3 years ago, I think due to cheating allegations or something like that. I think they have 2 kids together. Apparently he was cheating. They broke up like right before the pandemic, but then during the pandemic they got back together. They went to therapy, blah blah blah, got their relationship back on track, and decided to renew their vows like sometime earlier this year, I believe. This week it came out that they've gone their separate ways again. Apparently Neo was out there in them streets with sex workers, and he also apparently fathered a child with someone else. I don't know if it's one of the sex workers or if it's some other woman, I don't know, but he apparently fathered a child with another woman. And so his wife said, all right, that's enough of that, I'm heading out. And there's been a lot of chatter on the interwebs, of course, because everybody has an opinion. Everybody's a Monday morning quarterback. And some people are like, oh, well, she knew how he was, why'd she get back with him if she knew, da 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 da. I'm like, well, if they went to therapy after everything happened, I'm going to assume, logically, that with the work of their therapist, they agreed on a new normal in their relationship. And they decided, we're going to build another foundation. We're going to do a new normal. And we're going to try this again under this new normal. Clearly, Neo did not participate all the way on the new normal, because I'm pretty sure the new normal included no more cheating on me with people.
or sex workers specifically,
or sex work, or whatever the case may be. He obviously did not stick to the plan as agreed upon, and so sis said, well, it's been great, but I'm bouncing. And so I think
I also think it's weird that people just should feel like if you're a celebrity, you should just accept that
people are going to cheat on you.
Yeah, I feel like I understand the culture that's what is doing that, but I feel like you shouldn't have to accept it, especially if the person said, I'm not going to do it. Like,
right.
If I understand if what person was like, I've never said that, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Right.
But the person said, hey,
I'm going to stop doing this. I'm committed to our relationship. I'm committed to moving forward.
Then they should honor that probably.
Seems legit to me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because the fact that they were separated for 2 years means that sis was like, I'm not playing this game with you. I'm not doing this. So obviously he had to have said and done some things in that time period working with the therapist to make her feel like, okay, we can make our family work again. And homeboy dropped the ball. So now she's like, well, that's great. I'm heading out. Now, will she actually divorce him for real? That remains to be seen. But the point is, you have a right as a person to say, I don't like what this new normal looks like, or I don't want to do this for whatever reason, and chuck the deuces. You have the right to do that as a person. That is totally within the realm of your right as a human being. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I feel like, and I think too, a lot of the reason that people have a hard time even being okay with kind of chucking the deuces and going their separate ways when it comes to these kinds of things, I think it's because people have this idea of like, and this might be a little controversial, but whatever. They have this idea of like, marriages are you're supposed to like fight for a marriage no matter what. You're just supposed to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. I'm like, yeah, but sometimes, possibly, potentially, everybody that's married ain't supposed to be married to the person they married to. Y'all can fight me on that. I stand on it. I've been to some weddings where I've been like, oh wow, they're doing this. This is insane, but they're gonna do this, huh? Okay.
I'm of the belief, I'm not sure if you agree with this. I'm of the belief that any marriage can work if both parties feel as if are on the same page about what to work towards and make it work. Meaning if both parties understand this is what we want out of marriage, this is what we want to do with the marriage, and we're going to work towards getting to this point, and they both are showing progress in that, it's possible. Does that mean that all marriages should always stay together? No. But I believe that all marriages have the potential to come together if both parties are like, this is a conflict. Are we both, I'm going to do the work to whatever I need to do. You're going to do the work to whatever we need to do. And we're going to be on the same page and we're going to work towards it. We both have the same thought of what the ideal relationship looks like. So for instance, the reason I'm saying that, because I feel like a lot of times the concern is, number one, what the ideal relationship looks like might be different for both parties. What that even looks like, I feel like that, I think that the conversation needs to happen. But what that even looks like, what the concerns that each party has in relationship, if that's not fully addressed or spoken about, that might create a conflict. And if both parties don't feel like whatever the other person wants is not really, they'll be alright without it. That like you saying, yeah. But if those factors are kind of resolved, it's possible to move on and succeed in marriage. But both parties have to really adopt that.
Agreed. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is a long shot in the sense of fundamentally people are very selfish.
Yes.
And they want what they want. And what may seem like a reasonable compromise to me may be completely unreasonable to someone else. And, you know, I think that's where a lot of the trouble comes in, is that being in a long-term relationship like a marriage requires a great deal of compromise. But I don't know if people really have a firm grasp on what compromise is and what it means. Because I think people think compromise means I bend to what the other person wants and I just bury my feelings and what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And that's not what compromise is.
Word.
It's not. Compromise is finding a place where you are both genuinely satisfied with the outcome. If only one person is satisfied with the outcome, while the other one is pretending that they're satisfied with the outcome, but they're really not, that's not compromising. You just went along with whatever the other person wanted to make them happy, but you're not happy.
Word.
And so now you're experiencing conflict because you subconsciously, the person who went along with whatever the other person wanted, you subconsciously feel like you bent for them and they haven't done it for you. Meanwhile, they're of the assumption that you were on board with whatever the decision was about the quote unquote compromise. So it's like people got to be real about what a compromise is and what it isn't, and understand that there are some things that you might not be able to compromise on. Like there are some things where you and the other person just stand so strongly on that there may not be a compromise. There may not be a point that you can meet in the middle. And if you can't find that on your own, how do you find that? Like, how do you get there? Like, does this mean that you now pull in a counselor or a friend or I don't know. But how do you get to the point where you can function productively without this thing sort of holding you from moving forward as a couple? But like compromise can't just be, well, he wants this and he doesn't seem to be bending on it, so I'm just gonna let him have it while I'm sitting over here like the whole time. Like that's not compromise. I just for the sake of quote unquote peace went ahead with something that I really didn't like, and I'm still mad about it after the fact. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Anything else you wanna offer about that?
Nope. I think that was good. You can move on.
Yeah. I feel like there's more in my head, but I don't know how long we've been on here also, so
110.
110. Okay, not bad. We're not doing bad. So yeah, I'm sure there was a lot more we could have touched on in this topic, but brain's gonna brain. So there's that. We don't want to be here all damn day. Brains are gonna go in. But long story short, I think conflict is a part of relationships, and I think people need to understand that. Like even if you love each other, like, oh my god, I breathe in, you breathe out, like obsessed, there's still conflict, and conflict doesn't have to be toxic and bad. It's just two different people with two different ways of being raised and ways of thinking about things, and inevitably you're not going to agree on everything, but it's about like being honest and being mindful of the fact that if you're really with someone good, that they're not bringing things to your attention or saying things to you or doing things to be hurtful or mean or anything like that. You guys are just going through a difficult moment in your communication process, and if you can just kind of remove your personal like hang-ups and like ish, and just like actually listen to what's being said, because I think that's a challenge we have as people. We have a hard time listening to what's being said. We always got to put in our seasoning, And it's like, no, but what is actually being said? What is actually happening? Remove your preconceived notions or whatever. Like, what's actually happening? And kind of take it from there as that. I think that's a really helpful way to moving through conflicts, is to just the same way in interpersonal situations at work or whatever, where it's like you got to remove yourself from the conversation to be able to hear clearly. I think that applies to like interpersonal relationships like marriage. You just you have to remove your own ego from things so that you can really hear what's being said and understand what needs to happen. So yeah, we would love to hear y'all's thoughts about this. So, definitely in the chats and in the comments and in the places where we can talk, you can tell us these things.
Word.
New music. Hey. So, new music. So apparently Eminem released another album. Curtain Call 2 has hit the streets. I feel like I didn't hear no promo about this. I mean, it's Eminem. Does he have the promo?
That's what I said. Like, hopefully, if he's gonna act like a celebrity that he is and just drop an album, as long as the album's great, then I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't see nothing nowhere about this album.
I just need him to be to act at celebrity level. So if he's doing that, and he's not like telling a bunch of people that he can rap, then I'm cool.
He just wants people to know that he can rap, Mark.
No one's confused about he can rap or not.
But I don't know. Maybe there are people who don't know. So he just wants to let them know that he can, in fact, rap. Okay. So that album's out. I haven't given it a listen yet. I haven't listened to any of these albums that I'm about to talk about, by the way. Full disclosure. But they're on my to-do list for this week. So yes, Eminem released Curtain Call 2. Fireboy DML, he's an Afrobeats artist. He released Playboy. I like his music. He performed on the was it the BET Awards recently? Mm-hmm. He was one of the featured performers. I'm like, I love that Afrobeats is they shine out here in these streets after all these years. So he released the album called Playboy this week. One of my favorite people on the internet.
This is what I thought it was. It's a greatest hits album.
It's a greatest hit album. Okay.
I was looking at the songs. I was like, a lot of these songs came out.
They're not new.
I was like, I know The Way You Lie by Rihanna. I was like, it's a greatest hit.
Is this his retirement album? Like, is he telling us, like, I'm not doing this somewhere? I'm out of here?
Wait a minute. It has some new songs.
Okay. But he just said, all right, I'm going to put some of the oldies on there, too.
There's 34 tracks.
Oh, he's giving us a Chris Brown album. Got it.
No, but a lot of the tracks are old tracks. So it's like a best of.
Okay.
It's
like a best of compilation with some new tracks. Okay.
Yeah.
But if Eminem thinks I'm listening to 34 tracks, he's got me messed up.
That's the first Curtain Call was the hits also. So there's also the hits.
I'm not listening to 35 songs of anything, respectively.
Well, it's songs you heard already, so you don't have to.
Sure. I'm not downloading it. It's not taking up space on my phone. Who else? Bobby Shmurda, one of my favorite people on the internet, released an album. It's called Bod Boy. Follow Bobby Shmurda on the internet if you aren't already. He gives great content. Like Bobby Shmurda is like, if you ever seen somebody just happy to be out of jail and free, Bobby Shmurda is happy. You hear me? Happy to be outside, and he shows it. That man is always somewhere dancing, smiling, having a great time. He's doing it up for the people that got out of jail. He's doing great, at least from what he's showing us on the internet. So I love him. His energy is infectious. He's just such a happy, and I appreciate the fact that he's one of those like people who was in prison and came out and was like, I'm telling all these little young boys, prison is not the wave. Do not go in there. Like, it's not vibes. I don't care what these other dudes is out here telling you. I was in there for 7 years. Prison is not vibes. Yeah. Do not go there. I respect that.
He's upset. He's mostly upset because his song went hot and he went to prison.
Yeah, so like he didn't get to ride the wave of none of what he had going on.
He didn't get to experience any of his celebrity.
No. And so he's like, I appreciate it, because he did an interview and somebody asked him like, what would he say to the young boy? He was like, nah, don't do nothing to get in there. It's not vibes. It's not fun. Stay out of there. So I appreciate the fact that he said that, because I feel like a lot of these celebrities, they go to prison and they kind of glorify it and make it like, oh, I did my bid. Like they try to do this like real hard, like gangster, whatever. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you did your bit. I'm proud. Good job. But there's also these other young 19, 20-year-old rappers who have no idea of anything about a jail and what that experience is like. And because you coming out and talk about, oh, I did my bit, it wasn't nothing, I eat those, they thinking, oh, they can go in there and eat those too. No, you can't, baby doll. No, you can't. You're not set up for this. You're gonna don't do that. So I appreciate that Bobby Shmurda has kept it a bean about those things. I love that very much. And then Toby Nwigwe is releasing a song with Pharrell called Lord Forgive Me. I like that he's tapping into a lot of these mainstream artists now. Like, he did a song with 2 Chainz. He had Chameleonaire. Yeah. Then didn't he have another one with this group of they was from a group. I can't think of what their name is. It was like Coast 7 Contra. Of them. Yes, them people. So I'm like, I like that he's like, you know, breaking out and doing some interesting stuff. Like, I heard a clip of the song. It sounds pretty good. I'm like, okay, I don't hate it so far.
The song's entitled because he released the EP Moments.
Mm-hmm.
Was it called? Moments, yeah.
Moments, yeah.
And it has the Round Here, Been Broke, Destruction, and Lord Forgive Me, which is the song with Pharrell and Earth Gang.
Mm-hmm. So looking forward to all these things to listen to this week because, you know, I done listened to the Burna Boy album already, and y'all driving me crazy with Last. So
Pharrell produced it, so that's great.
Yes, Pharrell productions are great. Ask Elise.
Yeah, so Pharrell produced it. That's great. So that means he has a different producer doing it.
I hope Toby got his rights. I hope he got his rights. I hope he's not gonna be out here like Khalees in a couple years talk about they sampled my song. So sidebar, if you don't know what I'm talking about. So Beyonce put out her album Renaissance last week, 2 weeks ago, and there was a very, very, like, when I say blink and you miss it sample of Milkshake. Because I had to listen to the song about 3 times to find the sample. I was like, girl, where is it? But then I finally found it. And Khalees, rightfully so, made a video on the internet talking about, you know, just feeling like her art was being used and no one spoke to her, and she acknowledged that while she doesn't own the music due to, you know, music business shadiness between her and the Neptunes and whoever, she felt like, you know, Beyonce should have reached out, whatever. I'm not going to get into all of that, but, you know, it was just a larger conversation about music rights, and you know it's just sad to see that in 2022 that people are still having this conversation. How many movies we done seen with Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, basically everybody black, that people music rights was being stolen or they wasn't being paid or something. It's unfortunate to see that these things are still happening, but yeah, I hope what's his name got his rights, and artists today are like paying attention to that kind of stuff. Yeah, so we're gonna move on to other things that were happening. So the first thing I want to talk to y'all about is there's this documentary on Netflix that I need y'all to watch. It's in 3 parts. It's called Most Hated Man on the Internet, and I watched it in one day yesterday. It's about this site. I didn't know about it because I don't be in Caucasian people business, but I don't.
That's right.
But I don't. I really don't be. But there was this site up like back in the early 2000s called, or like I guess the early 2010s called, Is Anyone Up? And basically it was started by this creepy Caucasian man who was hacking people's accounts and like taking their nude photos and posting them on their website. And then it became this whole like revenge porn situation where guys would like post pictures of girls that broke up with them, like, oh, this slut, this that, and post like intimate photos and stuff like that. And it got really, really, really weird. The documentary is really good because for me it really highlights how much people can get away with, and how little laws there are in place to stop stuff like this from happening. Because basically when this guy was posting these people's photos without their consent, there were no laws on the books federally or in any of the states really to prosecute someone taking someone's intimate photos without their consent and posting them somewhere. And it was only after he kind of got arrested that states started to pass laws against it. But still to this day, there is no federal ruling regarding posting someone's intimate images without their consent, and you know, the whole bullying and violation of rights behind that. Because the thing is, the guy Hunter something, when he got arrested, because there were no laws about, you know, revenge porn and sharing people's images, he didn't get arrested on any of that. He got arrested because he was hacking. That was the thing that got him arrested. But it's like, it's crazy. And the other thing about the documentary is like the Caucasian people. At least I noticed in a lot, because I watch a lot of these like documentaries about like people that be in cults and doing weird things. Like there was this one girl in the documentary, like she literally was doing stuff to get on the site because she wanted the attention of the guy. And it was just like, babe, what's wrong with you? Like you want to be accepted and be part of the group that likes this guy's website and comments on his stuff so bad. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like, how you keep getting caught up in these like cult like weird follower situations? Like, what's going on? I'm concerned. So just, but go watch it. It's good. It's fascinating, but it's good. The other one I saw was on Hulu, Victoria's Secret's Angels and Demons. That was an interesting one to watch. Because apparently, what's his name? Jeffrey Epstein was everywhere. Yes. There's no place that man wasn't. I did not know he was in any way, shape, or form connected to anything to do with Victoria's Secret, but apparently he was. Word. That was a fascinating situation. Whoever's doing all these documentaries and weaving Jeffrey Epstein into them in some way, they are determined to spill the tea on all of Jeffrey Epstein's associates. But yeah, those are two. If you're into documentaries, check those two out. The Hated Man one is on Netflix. The other one is on Hulu. It's called Victoria's Secret Angels and Demons. Speaking of demons, so Alex Jones, I don't know if y'all know who that is, but he ran InfoWars, which was basically like this right-wing conspiracy theory, just crazy town website, podcast, TV show. I don't know what he had going on, media situation. And he's in court this week, and I think in the next couple of weeks, because he's being sued by the parents of the children who died in the Sandy Hook mass shooting event. Because if you know who Alex Jones is, or you followed him, he was a Sandy Hook denier. Like for many years, he was saying Sandy Hook was a hoax. All those people were crisis actors. No one really died, blah, blah, blah. And so the parents, you know, I guess over the years were like, bro, you got to stop saying that. Like, my kid died, like, for real. You're causing me emotional anguish by continuing to say that it didn't happen. And he didn't stop, obviously. And so now he's in court. I think I saw something where he has to pay like $4 million to the families, but he may have to put out some more money to cover for, you know, damages for what he's done. But yeah, I like, what, why would you say something like that and keep it going for years? Cause Sandy Hook happened when, like, I don't even remember, but it's been at least 5 years since Sandy Hook happened. And so the fact that you've kept it going for years, even after these people have begged you to stop it, I hope they bleed him dry. I hope they bleed him dry. Because, and so I read this on Twitter and it was true. Like, everybody's talking about Alex Jones keeping this story going, but not one Republican representative, congressman, nothing has come out and say, hey, yo, Sandy Hook happened. It was legit. Stop this. Their silence, in many ways, enabled him to keep going forward because some of his greatest supporters were these same Republicans. And the fact that they kept quiet and let this man continue to say that it didn't happen, that it wasn't real, that it was all a hoax, is mind-boggling. In other mind-boggling news,
I don't know if you have this on your docket, but speaking of other lawyer things, so apparently, what's that show with the that we were watching before with the everybody's in Bridgerton? So
about that.
Yeah. So Bridgerton, when it first came out, someone created like a musical thing. So like there was like, all right, we're gonna do a musical based on Bridgerton, and Bridgerton was cool with it.
Yeah, they were like, sure, go crazy,
make songs, do what you got to do. Fine. Then they like won a Grammy. Bridgerton was like, cool, that sounds awesome. I'm glad this is for the community and everything.
Right.
Then they decided to have in a big venue with thousands of people charging like $150
a ticket or something like that.
$150 a ticket and everything. And Bridgerton was like, this is what they said. They was like, you can do it, but you have to buy this license. And the license would have either said they get a percentage or they have to pay for whatever it was. They have to do the license to do that. And the people with the musical was like, nah, I'm cool. I don't gotta do that.
I'm like, do y'all not know who Shonda Rhimes is? Do y'all not know who Netflix is? Like, how you thought this was gonna go, baby?
You know they own that, right?
Right, like legitimately, flat out.
You can't they let you off for like mad long.
Right, like they let you ride for mad long. Like, oh, we're happy that you're so excited about the show and that you felt so impacted, that you wanted to do something. Like,
but you can't just like out here just making mad money off someone else's brand and feel like that will be cool enough.
Right, like, and very publicly doing it too.
Yeah, like,
and charging money.
It's their branding.
Yeah, like it was cool when you were doing it and it wasn't like a money generating enterprise that you were like undertaking.
It's their brand and their characters.
Pretty much.
You gotta relax.
Yeah. You should have and the fact that they came to you initially, like, we're not even trying to stop you from doing what you're doing. You just need to get this license and make sure that the appropriate people get the appropriate compensation for taking this and doing something with it.
And they were like, nah.
I'm like, I don't know. The nah doesn't make sense to me. Like, did you speak to a lawyer before you did the nah? Because it doesn't make sense.
So now you're about to get no money.
Now it's finna be nothing for you, baby.
Because you out here playing games.
Ain't that for you? And they about to shut you down. You're probably not going to be able to do no more productions of anything Bridgerton related.
Of course it's a white woman.
Of course. Because, you know, the Wahites be doing what they do.
It's insane. All right. What else we got?
I don't know if I've talked about this on this podcast in any length of detail, but Mark is aware I have a very deep-rooted disdain for James Franco, the actor. I do not like his face. I do not like him. Like, every time I see a movie with him, I'm just like, ugh, get him out of here. And sure enough, a few years ago, it came out that he was a sexual predator, and I was like, of course. That's why I didn't like him. Something in my spirit said, no, none of that. We don't like it. So he's kind of been laying low for a little while. You haven't really seen him anywhere, but he has reared his ugly head again, and I mean that literally, in recent news. So apparently they are doing a Fidel Castro movie, and they have cast him as the title character. James is neither Latino nor any of the things that would be qualifying someone to play the role of Fidel Castro. And so John Leguizamo, who is a very outspoken Latin artist proponent, was literally like, so of all the Latin actors in Hollywood, no one was available to play Fidel Castro. Like, y'all picked a white man? Like, we don't have Colombians and Cubans and El Salvadorians and every other kind of actor out here. Shoot, the guy that played Moon Knight is Guatemalan. Was he not available? He might not have been. He was probably doing Moon Knight. But there are other people out there. So John Leguizamo was like, nah, this is wild. This is out of pocket. Like, nah, this is not cool. I'm like, why does Hollywood keep doing this? Why do they, like, what is it that they don't understand? Like, why do they always choose for ethnic roles white people? Like, there aren't other people who are available that more closely fit the description of the racial group that they're trying to make a movie about. Like, I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's very, very confusing. That coupled with the fact that James Franco is a full-on, like, sexual predator, and it's documented. I'm like, who's backing a movie with him? First of all, who thinks it's going to make any money? Who's your target audience? Because I don't think Latino people is coming to see a Fidel Castro movie with a white man. I don't. So if that's your target audience for seeing this movie, then I'm not understanding what the choice is here. But, you know, that's y'all people business. We'll see how this progresses, because, you know, who knows? This movie might never even come out. But, you know, I thought it was interesting that we're back to having this conversation about, hey, let's have the people who are actually the ethnic group that you're trying to represent in this movie play the actual parts. Like, I don't think that's an unreasonable ask for anybody. What I do think is a reasonable ask, though, is for Irv Gotti to stop talking about Ashanti. It is 2022. Whatever relationship you and Ashanti had ended in, 2005? 6? 7? Long story short, it's in the double digits when that relationship ended. And you need to stop, Mr. Irv Gotti. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Irv Gotti went on Drink Champs podcast with what's his name, Nori, who finally got a license. Shout out to him. And was basically talking about his relationship with Ashanti. Let's establish that Irv Gotti was very much legally married while he was in this clandestine relationship with Ashanti. He was talking about how he found out that she was dating Nelly when he saw them together at a basketball game. And he was upset about it. I'm just like, but she was the side piece. The side piece is supposed to inform you that she's in a real relationship. Like, it seems to me like Ashanti played her role as a side. She knew what it was. She knew you weren't ever leaving your wife. She found somebody that she liked, and she moved on with him. I don't understand why you feel like you needed to be notified. She was the side. She played her position correctly. She moved on. Yeah, but I'm not understanding what your upset is about.
It's very common for people to be upset about that.
And then he's still apparently upset that when the whole Murder Inc. thing happened, when the FBI investigated them, that she didn't get involved. What was she supposed to do? Like, I'm really trying to understand what he expected. And at this point, it doesn't matter. Like, then he was talking about how, like, he used to buy her stuff, and, you know, they would, you know, do their business or whatever. He would take her on trip. Yes, sir. That's what you're supposed to do as rich man with a side girl. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, I'm not understanding. Like, you played your role as the man with the side girl. She played her role as the side girl. I'm not sure what you're still upset about at this juncture. Everybody did what they were supposed to do. Stop talking about Ashanti. Because Ashanti don't talk about you. Like, when she go on interviews and people try to bring you up, she literally be like, yeah, so, you know, I was on Murder Inc. We had a moment. We had some good times. And that was it. I'm doing this now. Like, she doesn't sit there and get into deep conversations. Like, this man spent half his Drink Champs podcast talking about Ashanti. She lives in his mind rent free. And I want your wife to live in your mind rent free, the same way that Ashanti does. Like, your kids have to be embarrassed about the fact that you continue to be in public talking about a woman that you cheated on their mother with all these years later. Like, that, are you not embarrassed, Irv Gotti? Are you not embarrassed? You should be. Leave Ashanti alone. You see, Nelly don't go nowhere to talk about that lady. Because Nelly wants to talk to her again. So he knows he can't go nowhere and talk about that lady. We saw how Nelly acted at that Versus when she was up there. Nelly came up with his give me a hug looking head. Child, bye. Nelly know the vibes. Because let's be clear. It's a known fact that the reason that we didn't really know about Ashanti and Nelly or Ashanti and Irv is because Ashanti didn't want anybody to know about those relationships. She was the one that was like, be cool. Don't be out here telling people you with me. That's crazy. Don't do that. So Nelly's playing his cards right. He not out here talking about nothing. To this day, Nelly ain't never told us he was with Ashanti officially. Irv, just shh, be quiet. We don't want to hear it. On a more serious note, let's lift some prayers up for Brittany Griner. If you don't know who Brittany Griner is, she's a WNBA player. She was playing over in Russia. She had some vape pens with some CBD oil in it. The people had her locked up for a good little minute. She finally went on trial, and they gave her 9.5 years for these vape pens. It's very clear that Russia's trying to make an example of her and to force America's hand to release this Russian guy we have here who's called the Mercenary of Death. He definitely doesn't sound like somebody that should be outside. He sounds like somebody that should be behind bars. But I also don't think Brittany Griner needs to be in jail for 9 years over some vape pens. Like, I understand other countries have laws about drugs and blah, 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 blah. But it's very clear that they're trying to make an example of her and force America's hand to release this Russian guy that they want to have released, because this is not an offense to where 9 years was a standard sentence. Like, other people have had the same thing and they basically paid a fine and was in jail for like 6 weeks. It didn't have to be a 9-year situation, but this is all clearly a political play. Yeah. But just keep her lifted in prayer, because I'm like, I can't imagine being in prison in another country where I don't speak the language and stuff is just happening to me and I don't have the resources that I would have if I was back home to address the situation. Yeah. And, you know,
it's just a bunch of Cold War nonsense again.
Yes, it's a bunch of Cold War nonsense again.
In which both parties are just being ridiculous. They don't really want to go to war, so they do a bunch of like stupid stuff like this. Yeah, and unfortunately, a black woman's life is caught in the balance of what's going on. Yeah, because like America's not gonna go in and get her because that will cause a world war. Right. So it's a bunch of nonsense like that. Yeah. But I do hope Biden and them can work something out to get her back home, because I do think that the sentence is unfair. Like, yes, I agree. We should absolutely, when we go into other countries, make sure that we on the up and up about their laws and what's going on. But I do think that the 9 years is excessive. And, you know, the people who are over here with the, well, you know, she should have known better. She should have known, and you can't be. Okay, cool. How does that help her now, though? What does that do for the fact that she is still within prime playing years, and they're saying to her, you're going to go to jail for 9 years. And so by the time you come out, the ability to make a livelihood for yourself will likely be gone. Like, there's longer reaching effects of this besides she had some CBD oil and she broke the law. And the other piece of this that we also have to talk about too is America really needs to start doing better at paying its female athletes. Because if she was being paid her worth here in the WNBA, which is a whole nother conversation, she wouldn't feel the need to go play overseas to make money. But because WNBA players, the highest paid players in the WNBA make something like $300,000 a year, which is peanuts compared to what a Steph Curry or a LeBron or a Jay Morant make. And I'm not saying that they're comparable, because men's basketball and women's basketball, totally different dynamics. And I'm not saying the gentlemen don't deserve their money, but I am saying that, you know, the support for women needs to be there as well, because this having to go overseas to play thing, as we can see, is it comes with challenges. Yeah. So, like, people need to support the WNBA in general. In general. Because these girls be balling. I'll just say that. Yeah. Like, the whole Bill Burr thing is hilarious, but it is true. What he said? What Bill Burr was saying was like, there's a lot of people who like complain about the WNBA but don't watch WNBA games. Right. Don't watch games, don't go to games, don't do none of that. Yeah. So like what he was saying was like the WNBA should be filled with like feminists if they're
if there's that serious, if you're really that much about women's rights and women's empowerment, and blah blah blah, be
excited about it. But they're putting all the onus on men who watch the NBA, which is weird.
It's very weird.
Yeah,
it's very very weird. Very weird.
So yeah,
that's a real point. And then I guess the last thing I wanted to touch on is just thoughts and reflections about being on this podcast journey, because I think we started this in 2018.
Sounds about right.
April of 28. Is it 2018 or 2019?
Probably 2018.
I'm trying to remember.
2018 sounds great.
Yes.
That definitely sounds correct.
I'm curious. Yeah, I think 2018. So I think we would have come up on 4 years. Oh, it was 2019. Because it says the page was created March 22nd, 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we would have come up on 3 years of podcasting. 2019 makes sense because the pandemic stopped us from recording at CW Post.
So we did 2 seasons before then? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah. 3 years of podcasting. I guess, how do you feel about the experience? How do you feel about it, like, from when we started to now? Do you think we would have been doing it this long?
I don't know if I thought we were doing it this long. I think that I learned a lot of things. I think having a team probably been a lot better.
Yeah.
But
being a 2-man show is.
I think the only reason why I didn't even think about a team because I feel like you got to pay people.
I agree with that. Paying people is important.
No, I know, but I wouldn't. I feel. I think some people they get other people around come together now and then we'll pay when we get together and I think that is probably more productive to do. But because I feel crazy about asking somebody to do something without paying them initially,
right,
is probably where that comes from. Gotcha. Like I said, a lot of people, what they do is they just be like, all right, we're not we're in this together. We're gonna work it out.
We're all in this together.
We don't have any money together, but we're all in it together. And a lot of podcasts start off that way.
Yeah.
I've always felt crazy asking somebody to do something for free, but I do understand getting somebody to help support throughout the process might have been more beneficial.
Posible.
In terms of having other people to help do things.
Posible.
Yeah. So it's something like I said, I would do. Be different. If we ever do this again, I just want to have a team first.
Yeah. Definitely.
A bunch of people want to come together and do this. Someone's doing this, and this. I think that's what I would do first.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think a team is important. I also think going forward, I learned a lot about music and image copyright things.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
those good times.
Some people slid in our messages with some hey, what's that? So it helped me realize that perhaps our reach is farther than I thought, and that the internet is quite a useful tool, but it's also it can get you caught up a little bit, so you got to be careful in that respect. I think I also learned a lot about just having people join the podcast with us. That really, some of those episodes where we had people on with us were some of my favorites to do, just to have other people's perspectives and thoughts on the podcast. So I'll just take a moment now to shout out the people who came on the podcast and rode with us. This is as I remember, and if I forget somebody, forgive me. Shout outs to Michaela, to Caden and his wife, to Marcus, to our unofficial third podcaster, Kentastic Mills. Veronica, Reggie, Dalton,
Mark Francis. The main episode.
Who else do I need to shout out? Reverend Andrew Wilkes, Reverend Gabby. She was supposed to join, but she was sick that day, so shout to her too. I can't remember who else. I feel like there might have been other people, but if I forgot, charge it to my head, not my heart. Thank you to your sister. Shout out to Tahira. She was one of our
we went to Georgia
guests at one point. I'm sure there are others that may come to me later, but thank you all so much. We appreciate y'all supporting our fledgling endeavor into doing this. Like, neither one of us have ever done anything like this before, and this was really kind of let's try something out and see how it goes. Like, I did not think we would be, because how many episodes have we done?
A lot.
Like, we did 4 seasons of 26.
So that's 104.
104. So this is episode, like, to have over 100 episodes, I did not see that in the can at all, because it takes a lot to do all of this all the time. And I definitely understand now why people like do like monthly podcasts and stuff like that. Like, I'd be like, why y'all spacing it out like that? But now I realize, like, doing a weekly podcast is a job.
Yeah, it's
a job. And the people who do weekly podcasts, like the ones we listen to, the podcast is their primary job. Yeah,
and they have a team.
And they have a team of people.
I was out here trying to do a weekly podcast with no team. It's crazy.
With just the two of us is just way too much. So, kudos to the people who be out here doing it. But I definitely did learn a lot from this experience. Definitely, I some of my favorite episodes were that one that we did. I think it was Marcus. Marcus was in town and Marcus came, and Kent was there. That was one of my favorite ones. Like,
that was like New Year's, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was like a Christmas New Year's episode. That was one of my favorite. Just recording it, like, it was just so much fun.
Word.
To do. It's really been a great journey. I have no regrets about anything. Like, I'm very proud of what we did. I'm proud of the conversations that emerged during our recordings and as part of and after our recordings. Like, I appreciate so much everyone who supported us doing this. Thank you to all of you. We really, really appreciate it. Like, you guys really kept us going, and you guys are really the reason we like felt like even after all this time we had to come back and like end this the right way, because it didn't seem fair to just kind of like fade into the sunset without saying a proper goodbye. So, while I know that ultimately this is for the best in terms of where we are in our lives right now, what we've got going on, it kind of seems like soon, almost like this ending part of it is happening faster than I guess I thought it would. Even though I just said, I didn't think we would make it to 100 episodes, but it seems, like when we started this year and when we started this new season, I think we felt like we had more time doing this. And I don't think we thought it, like, the way it played out was the way that it was. But, we're grateful that we had the opportunity to be in people's houses, cars, headphones, wherever for the time that we had. And, like, I really hope that, this was encouraging and positive and something light and fun to add to people's lives as they were living,
Word.
Do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, I think that I appreciate every person. It was interesting to hear people who actually were listening to us, hearing people even through this time when we stopped, when people were like, so I haven't heard an episode in a while. I was like, oh, you listen. That's interesting.
Yeah,
so,
like, we have listeners, like, for real.
Yeah, so, like, it was interesting. We appreciate every single listener.
Yes, every single one of you.
Just for taking the time to listen to the right things of us. So it was good. Like I said, something comes up, we'll let y'all know.
Yeah, it's been a great run. I would definitely say to anyone out there that's thinking about doing something like this, or just stepping out and trying something that's been on your mind for a while, do it. Like, this was literally like a conversation that I was having like for 2 years. Like, I would love to do like radio or a podcast or something like that. And, the opportunity presented itself, and I'm happy that with the support of Mark, we were able to like jump on the opportunity and take advantage of it. So I want to say again, thank you so much to our friend Kent Mills, because literally without him, this podcast would not have been anything. It would not have sounded crisp or professional or any of those things, because he allowed us to use space in a place. I'm not going to say where, because I don't know if he still works over there or whatnot, but in a place where he had access to a professional recording studio, and he would let us record the podcast there free of charge, pretty much up until the pandemic. And, we really appreciate that, because we didn't have the equipment that we have now and all that stuff to record a podcast. So, like, he really gave us the opportunity to get our feet wet and get ourselves grounded in the first, 8-9 months of doing this podcast. And truthfully, had it not been for the pandemic, we probably still would have been utilizing that facility. So, major shout out to him. Like, he was an integral part of this podcast getting off the ground. And so thank you, Kent. We love you. Hopefully we'll see you soon, because I feel like it's been a minute since we seen you. But yeah, I guess that's it, y'all. So for the last time, you ready, Mark?
With that said,
for the last time, we bid you adieu. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
It's the All Love, No Fear podcast. It's the All Love, No Fear podcast. Check this out. It's the All Love, No Fear podcast. All Love, No Fear podcast.
Hey.